Ladies and gentlemen, welcome live to 3Y TV and tonight's broadcast of the American Sim Racing Series Hacksaw PC's premiere series. Tonight, we have the Kirkwood Transportation 150 here from Phoenix Raceway, the Tricky Triangle of the West, as I like to call it. Very, very fast mile be quite a show for all 150 miles. I'm Peter Short. Joining me in the booth here tonight is Carlos Acosta. And Carlos, this is a fantastic racetrack, and I know all the fans love coming here. It produces some short track action, but it's a mile long with some very, very flat banking. What are you expecting to see here tonight?
You're going to be seeing a lot of people's patience getting tested. We've seen from the group chats just how difficult this track may end up being for a lot of the guys. And some of the things they'll need to focus on is being sure that they can handle exiting the corners and being sure they can handle a full field out tonight.
Absolutely. It's going to be in points. Well, that would be Edward Bray, and I don't think a lot of people had Ed Bray sitting atop the leaderboard at this point in the season. Even though it's still early, he's put together 3 pretty good runs. Had a runner-up finish back at Daytona. There he is at the top of the board. That runner-up at Daytona has kind of sprungboard himself into the lead of the point. Yeah, sprungboard. It's like a springboard, but
I know, but usually it's spring. I've heard springboarded. Anyway, go on.
Well, either way, whichever one it might be, maybe you can correct me in the chat. Got to give a shout out to Nikki Worsler and Jay Crable in the chat here. We'll see Jay on the racetrack, but John Jenkins moving up the table, as has Greg Evans. I mean, getting the win back at Auto Club Speedway, and then back in that, and then we had Evans winning at Las Vegas. Keep an eye on those drivers because they're very, very fast. Michael Krobach, James Lorello up there, definitely going to be interesting to see them. And Greg Evans getting the win, at Auto Club, and John Jenkins at Las Vegas. But nonetheless, those drivers, they're kind of on a charge right now. Greg Evans at Daytona, 34th, and he's back to lead. But, still early in the season here, Carlos, and a lot of those positions could look drastically different at the end of tonight's race.
Yeah, and we do apologize. We appear to be having some connections issues there with Peter. We're going to get everything figured out there hopefully before we go to Green Flag Racing. It'll be a challenge for a lot of these guys as the main challenge for pretty much the majority of them was essentially getting out on track. Something we didn't really expect to see much of was just how many people actually had to qualify for this event, and the numbers was well past the 50s. Peter, you have any thoughts about that?
Well, this series just continues to grow and grow and grow, and it's great to see, a huge field here tonight. Just super cool to see lots of cars try and qualify. Unfortunately, we did have to send multiple cars home. There are a few alternates currently in the session trying to see if they can get their way into the show based off of someone else having some bad luck here. But it's a good problem to have, having 50-plus cars trying to qualify for an event. And, personally, it provides a fantastic level of racing for the drivers in this series. These drivers, they want to be in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series here racing the Kirkwood Transportation 150. But you want to have tight competition. You don't want to have a field that's extremely spread out. You want it to be close, and that is what we're seeing week in, week out here with the Premier Series. We got a couple of other drivers added this week to the PSL, the Premium Seat License, the Premium Series License, whichever one you want to call it. It's great to see that it continues to bloom and continues to grow. And, after this season, it could be even bigger next year.
Yeah, and they actually had to cap it. I believe they're no longer going to be accepting any more Premier Series licenses. Excuse us, as I tried to shut down Steam, and I had no idea that would shut down iRacing as well. So that you can put hashtag blame Carlos on that one as they're trying to get iRacing back up, hopefully before qualifying starts. But yeah, Peter, they have closed down any more applications for the Premier Series license. More than likely going to be opening up realistically at the end of the season. But if enough drivers drop out, then there may be some more opening up midway. But that is actually all up to management. We actually have no intel about that. Another thing, Peter, I believe we have some other fantastic news that occurred while we were during our off week. Peter, I don't know if we want to go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, and it's more intel, so to speak. We had Glassdoor Brewing jump on board for the truck series at the American Sim Racing Series. So Glassdoor Brewing, of course, were on the label for the Glassdoor Brewing 250 back at Daytona a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago now. But they have kind of jumped on board. They've picked up more races. They're going to be giving the winners of those races a cool little wooden plaque with a sampling box of some of their beers at Glassdoor Brewing. But they've also jumped now over onto the Truck Series label. So it's pretty cool to have a title sponsor,
Yep, you got it.
here in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series, but also on the Truck Series side of things, which is a developmental series for a lot of the drivers. A lot of the drivers in tonight's race will be in that race. So very cool to see Jake Rabel jump on board with that, with Glassdoor Brewing. In fact, that number 87 machine, if you'll see it here tonight on the racetrack, that 87 is a beautiful shade of blue. And hopefully Jay can take that thing to victory lane, because very, very good-looking race car. Speaking of good-looking race car, there is a Kirkwood Transportation number 41 machine, Tim Knott, going around the racetrack. And, of course, Kirkwood Transportation is the sponsor of tonight's race. So got to give them a shout out. There'll be a couple of those Dirty Bird Sim Racing cars in the field here tonight, all supporting Kirkwood Transportation. Going through turn number 3 and 4 is Tim right now, trying to turn down a pretty good lap in that number 41 machine. We'll see what he runs here at the line. You can see time's already trickling in. Will Warsler currently atop the board. Tim Knott going 22nd out of 28 cars currently qualified.
Yeah, all these drivers. It's going to be a full house tonight, a full field. 40 drivers. We had a couple of reserves. Unfortunately, though, we will not be seeing that 3-white TV machine out on track tonight, so unfortunate for that. But a full field. 50 plus drivers attempted to qualify, not counting the 15 drivers already locked in. The ASRS Racing League the ASRS is running on full cylinders this year. And the racing is going to get intense. We've already had a couple fantastic races to start the season, and this fourth race, it should be pretty exciting. There's just too many drivers that I don't know who can actually come out the victory, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that my money's going to be on Warsler.
Yeah, Will Warsler currently very, very quick, top of the board by about half of a tenth over the number 50 machine of Christopher Bouchard. Craig Stykes currently in third, so a couple of Will Warsler Racing machines up near the front, first and third currently. Mitch Brown, the reigning Hacksaw PC's Premier Series champion, is sitting in fourth. Kelsey Rogers in fifth, and Kelsey's had a decent start to the year in that number 34 machine. Jackson Van Volkenberg sitting in sixth, and John Jenkins, your winner from a couple weeks back at Las Vegas, sitting in seventh. Nick Curling 8th, Brandon Stokes 9th, and Jake Douglas rounding out your top 10 as we speak. But there's the number 71 machine. That's Adam Jersky, currently 24th on the leaderboard. Looks like he is going to take his second time lap. A little bit quicker, going to move up to 17th on the board in that beef jerky machine. Kind of hard to say beef jerky without trying to say beef jerky, but it is beef jerky.
Yep, you got it.
It is hard to say. A little bit of a tongue
I'm in the
mood
there for some beef jerky, and I'm not quite sure what beef jerkies is. I think it says cheesecakes there. Cheesecakes. I can't see. The wall's in the way. Fantastic camera angles.
I think Adam Jersky. I think Adam Jersky probably just has that on the front to catch out the commentators. But go check out Beef Jersky's Cheesecakes. Go Google it right now, and that number 71 machine coming down pit road, because it's a good idea to practice getting to pit road, because we might see green flag pit stops in this 150 lap race here tonight, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Of course, this series is known for long green flag runs and pitting under green every once in a while, so hopefully we'll get to see that in action here tonight. There's the beautiful Cactus going through the dog leg. And we haven't mentioned the dog leg here
Yes.
tonight, Carlos, but the dog leg is really one thing we always have to talk about when we come to Phoenix Raceway.
Yes. You can't touch it. That's all I have to say.
Ooh.
We are running the Indy configuration here tonight, just like we did the last time the ASRS went to Phoenix Raceway. It's no longer called Phoenix International Raceway or ISM Raceway. That sponsorship ended very, very quickly. But yes, here at Phoenix Raceway with the ASRS, we do not run the dog like you're going to be seeing the cones. And yes, this is not the Simpasso Racing League. You will get penalized for purposely knocking over those cones. So I'm sad to report I actually had a cone counter running up and running, getting ready to play today. But I am gonna go ahead and delete that application because we are not using it today. It is deleted.
Man, really powerful there on the delete button there on your keyboard, Carlos. Rest in peace, delete key. But as you can see, we got 3 minutes left here in qualifying. And Carlos, it's going to be pretty cool to see this many cars around this racetrack. Of course, we're up to 40 here in the Premier Series, and this racetrack isn't very big.
It's not that big. It's kind of controversial, honestly. Some people call it a short track. Other people will beat you up if you call it a short track. We're just gonna go ahead and say it's a unique 1 mile racetrack. But there is something we also have not brought up, and that is that this is the racetrack that we will be running for the season finale. Now, if iRacing releases the new version of Phoenix, then I believe they'll be running that. But as of now, this will be a preview for the season finale race, and we are running that 2020 short track package that we saw, that some of us saw here on the real life race, and well, it's definitely a lot better than it was the last year, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard about the Cup race this past weekend, in real life, it was much more racy. Of course, they actually had some of that sticky groove additive in the race. Yeah, the little bit of the awesome sauce. Now, iRacing doesn't have that, and I was kind of thinking about that this past week on whether or not iRacing is going to kind of throw that into the mix coming up. NASCAR's using that sticky stuff more and more, and I wouldn't be all surprised to see if iRacing decides kind of build to build, move around some of the grooves at some of the racetracks like Texas Motor Speedway or here at Phoenix Raceway. But all in all, that package was a little bit more racy than what we've seen. We got to see cars follow a little bit more closely, and hopefully we can see that tonight. Less aero push, less aero looseness, just some good, fast, clean race cars. As you see the number 36 of Ty Hester sitting at the end of pit road.
Yes.
He has not taken a time yet here, Carlos, but
yeah,
he does have Kirkwood Transportation on this.
I wanted to mention, Ty Hester has a race win this season, but it's marked back in 13th or 14th in point. 14th. I cannot get a good camera angle because I do not have the ability to control these cameras at the moment. But you might be able to get a chance to see it right there. Of course, the World Warsaw Racing number 57 is blocking the view. However, visually, these cars look like the 2019 package, but they are running that 2020 package. So when we mentioned that 2020 package, and you if you saw that out there in TV or in the racetrack, you saw how tiny those spoilers are. Well, visually, we don't have that. Not at the moment. I believe that will be fixed in either a future patch number 2, or in the next build. I believe it is patch number 2. But they are actually running that 2020 package as qualifying is over, and Will Wursler is going to be your pole sitter.
Yeah, he turned that lap pretty early in qualifying, and it stuck all the way through in that number 29 machine. Of course, Will Wursler looking for his first win of the 2020 Hacksaw PC's Premier Series here tonight in the Kirkwood Transportation 150. But, Will's always one of those drivers. You got to watch out for him, especially on these flat racetracks. They tend to suit his style if he doesn't get involved in some melee. Seems like Will Wursler has had a monkey on his back for quite some time here in the American Sim Racing series, so we'll have to wait and see whether or not he can throw that monkey off the back in that Slice Perky Pints machine. There he is on pit road. In fact, why don't we go through tonight's starting lineup for the Kirkwood Transportation 150. Will Wursler sitting on the pole. Christopher Bouchard in the number 50 to his outside still has his grandmother on the hood. Great to see that up front here for the start of this race. Craig Stykes on row number 2 with reigning series champion, the number 51 of Mitch Brown, starting 4th. Kelsey Rogers and Jackson Van Valkenburg rolling off 5th and 6th on row number 3. John Jenkins, the 7th place machine, will be starting in the 7th position. And so, to his outside, the number 10 of Nick Curley. Row number 5, we got the number 9 of Brandon Stokes. So we got the number 7 in the 7th position. We got the number 9 in the 9th position. How about that? And the 49 of Jake Douglas will be starting to his outside, and the Isla Morada Beer Company Ford Mustang there, Carlos.
Yeah, in row number 6, we have Micro Krobach on the inside with Jordan Harnish on the outside. Row number 7, I went too fast there. Jordan Harnish, let's see. Jimmy McKee and Jordan Berry, I do apologize. And row number 8 will be Troy Haight and Brian Yazik. Row number 9 will have Adam Jersky and Woody Mahan. And row number 10 will be Jared Haggerty and Grant Brown, Peter.
Yeah, gonna have to go a little bit quick through these. Alan Young, 21st. Doug Mullins, 22nd. Clarence Bonner, Cody Spiker, 23rd, 24th. Tyler Seville, Tim Knott, 25th, 26th. 27th, Richard Stallings. 28th, James Lorello. 29th, Alex Giese. Steve Puhala, 30th. Ed Bray, Jake Crable, Michael Whiting, 31st through 33rd. 34th, Eric Stanford, Shane Parrish, Tony Schoen, Christopher, Jason Stewart, Ty Hester, Richard Fletcher rounding out tonight's field. Pace car is on pit road. Green flag in the air. There it is. Green flag here at Phoenix Raceway, Carlos.
Yeah, going through the corners already. Well, crossing start finishing, no problem. There's these guys are going side by side into turn number 1 and 2. No problem there for your race leader, the number 29 of Will Werser, already clearing off the rest of the competition. Side by side for second, maybe a couple drivers thinking about going 3 wide. It's probably a little bit too early, but these guys, they don't have the access to that dog leg like you would see in other series or real life. So if there's the thing I'm most concerned about, if any of these drivers forget about that and actually try to go down below that below those cones.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if they do go below the cones, they will absolutely kill a ton of cones because they're all lined up in close succession. But what I'm noticing here early on is the outside groove is not where you want to be. Christopher Bouchard going from 2nd back to 4th here in the early running. Mitch Brown moving up into the 3rd position in the number 51 Patriot machine. Whoa, we got one car, that's Jackson Van Valkenburg in the number 23 machine getting way loose. There he is, to his inside, the number 7 of John Jenkins. Right behind him, trying to take advantage of this battle right in front of him is Jake Douglas in the Isla Morada Beer Company number 49 machine. We go on board with him, going off into turn number 3. You see how far he dove it into that corner. And Carlos, we mentioned it in the pre-race. This racetrack kind of races like a short track sometimes. And the different braking points can definitely catch you off guard and cause the accidents.
Yeah, we've seen it in real life. We've seen it in other series, and I've experienced it as one of the key factors here in Phoenix that I at least I like to consider. I'm not sure if you, a championship contending driver, Peter, consider maybe the same things, but for me, patience is very key. Patience and entry to turns 1 and 2. Turns 1, if you do not get turn 1 incorrectly, if you overdrive it, especially in the later run, you've kind of ruined that exit off of 2, and that exit off of 2 is very important considering how slow some of these cars get exiting the corner.
Getting word that the number 22 machine of Michael Whiting did not start this race. Not quite sure if he was one of the alternate drivers.
Yes.
Okay, so he was one of the alternate drivers. So Todd Kirkwood was actually the shotgun starter in this race. In fact, he's making his first Premier Series race, which is pretty cool to see. The title sponsor of tonight's race, Kirkwood Transportation, in this race. In fact, might have gotten in by the promoter's option, not 100% sure, but he earned his Premier Series license this week, and that number 86 machine going around this 1 mile racetrack right now. There he goes through the dog leg. Got Kirkwood dispatching services on the side of that number 86 car, so we'll have to see how this night turns out for Todd Kirkwood in his Premier Series debut. Here we go a little bit further back in the pack from the front. There's the number 55, Brian Yazik in the HPPSimulations.com Ford. You see him going through the dog leg. He's got the number 99, Clarence Bonner, another one of the Kirkwood Transportation badged machines, going through turn number 3 and 4 here right now. And I think he's going to pick up that spot. This is a battle back around the 20th position or so. In fact, move Bonner to 20th. And Yazik back to 21st, but Yazik had said not so fast, as you see up at the front of the field. Craig Stike starting to close in on his teammate, Will Worsler Racing owner, Will Worsler himself.
Yeah, I've been noticing that these last couple laps been running just slightly faster than your race leader, his boss, Will Worsler. And what we're going to see this time by just about the same. If anything, it's not really going to make much of a difference. We have to see how these guys are going to be racing each other. These are teammates, and not only their teammates, that's his boss up ahead. And we're less than 10 laps into this race. How hard do you want to push it for that race lead? We're going to be seeing what's going to happen, but if the race keeps on going on like this and these guys keep on battling like that, we may have a very, very interesting battle at the end of the race between a couple teammates.
Yep, and they're definitely starting to pull away just a little bit. Mitch Brown about 1 second behind the race lead. Getting word that Jake Douglas is having a little bit of connection issues. In fact, last time by, he killed a lot of the cones, Carlos. Hopefully he doesn't get a black flag for that in the number 49 machine. Just barely clipped those cones through the dog leg. I see a lot of the field single file.
Fine, yeah. I think clipping them is going to be fine, but the league officials do not want you to do that. And speaking of league officials, Jim Foose, people asking where is Jim Foose? He's actually back in the officials booth. I know he's sitting there watching the race with his Menards hat and his Menards soda can cooler, koozie, pardon me, trying to see anybody is going to be hitting those cones repeatedly, because these drivers have been warned that is going to be a penalty. Now, what type of penalty that is, I do not know, but Jim Foose is out there making sure those cones do not get violated.
Yeah, don't want to violate any cones here around this racetrack, but looking around the racetrack right now, your race leader going through turn number 3 and 4. This is a little bit further back in the pack. Quite a bit of single file racing until you get to around the 25th position or so. There's Richard Stallings a little bit further back behind this in that blue and yellow machine. You see him dive. Oh boy, no! Contact with the number 99 of Clarence Bonner. And I think Bonner threw the block there on Richard Stallings, and Stallings had to back out of it. Quite a bit of rear end damage to that number 90 machine, and yeah, a little bit to the front end of the number 17 machine. It'll be interesting to see if we can go back and see that one on replay, because that was oh so close to possibly being our first caution of the night. But we have been caution free for the first 10th of this race.
Here we go.
Richard, here we go. Let's see this. So he got a really good run. This is on board with Richard Stallings here. Got a really good run. You see him dive to the inside of the number 99, and whoa, just came down right in front of him. Just a little bit of contact. Good job by both the 17 and the 99 not to cause the first accident of the night, even though that was a bit of a coming together. This is now, there's that Michael Krobach in the number 72 machine. He is running in the 13th position. He's dropped 2 spots from where he started, and there's the number 17. Richard Stallings still doing battle, but this time with the War Turtle Racing machine of Jay Crable to his inside. Got Glass Store Brewing on Crable's machine, and Carlos, I gotta say, that blue on that number nice. 87 is nice.
That is, they've been messing with their speculators, because I believe that may be a very, very close shade of blue to that 17, a little bit darker, but the spec layer was edited. You can see definitely a more of a not pure chrome, maybe a brushed chrome, which is actually the same type of chrome that I'm using on my red and black cars. But it is a beautiful finish at number 87 paint scheme.
One thing I'm really interested about, though, Carlos, is our current points leader, Edward Bray, is struggling tonight. And so far, the number 66 machine is sitting back in 37th. Got Boswell's Country Roads Harley Davidson on that car. There he is, kind of all by himself near the back of the pack. Currently sitting 14.9 seconds behind the rally. You can see the live number down there in the bottom left-hand corner. 15.2 seconds behind your race lead. And so, man, this must not be a track that Ed really hopes, maybe he hopes to come and have a good finish, but probably not a racetrack he was looking forward to on the schedule. It looks like he just doesn't quite have the pace. Qualified in 31st, now running 37th in the early going.
Or Peter, maybe this. Maybe he's just trying to save some tires, expecting that if a caution does come out, maybe he'll stay out and hope for a later caution, because these guys do have restrictions on tires. Yes, this is the only league that I'm aware of. I know there are others. This is the only league that I personally know that has restrictions on how many tires you can do, and this was something that was done with the development series last year that was brought over to this series, the Hacksaw PC's Cup Series, Premier Series here for the first time, and that is you are limited to 3 tires for the race. The tires you start on, and 2 additional tire changes. And yes, if you take 2 tires, that counts as a 4-tire change. So you cannot take 4 tires and then 2 tires one time and then 2 tires again, because that will be 3 times you've gone down pit road. So these guys have to watch out how many times they pit, and if a caution comes out very early, you're going to have to put yourself in that position. Is it worth it for the track position? Or do you want to maybe try to have some tires at the end there for the race?
Yeah, it's been awesome to see the strategy come into play so far this year in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series, and getting a little bit of blinking still on the number 49 machine. I know he's already been warned here tonight, trying to see if he can fix his connection. Got to give a shout out to some of the people in the chat while we have a brief moment here. Tanner Sharp in the chat saying he's in bed sick. Well, Tanner, I hope you start to feel a little bit better. Hopefully you can race tomorrow in Sim Possible. We, of course, got Mark Cohn in the chat as well. Got to say hello, Mark. Kind of rooting on a couple of drivers. I think Crable's a good dude. We got Mark Grisa in the chat. Jersky going 3 wide tonight for sure. Well, we'll have to wait and see whether or not that holds true. Hopefully, it's 3 wide for a pass, no contact, and hopefully a pass for the race lead. Opened Eyes says, go get him, LPM boys. Krobach and Yazek, good luck. So if you're in the chat, make sure you make yourself heard here. We still have a long way to go, just under 130 laps to go. There is one of the LPM drivers, number 55, going through turn number 3. HPP simulations on the hood.
Yeah,
great looking paint scheme.
Yeah, it is. We saw that 31 of Jordan Berry a couple of laps ago. Got messed up turn 3 and 4 and suffered. Has already lost the position to Brian Yasek and is beginning to lose another position to Woody. Turn 3 and 4 maybe not as bad, but turns 1 and 2, that is just a corner I do not want to mess up, especially in that long run, just because of it's hard to describe, Peter. I don't know if maybe you have a better way of describing it, but to me, that turn 1 transitioning into turn 2 and the exit of the corner, it's very close together where you cannot just mess that up. You have to have a smooth corner throughout the whole corner itself for you to get a good drive off. Otherwise, you're going to be going wide and you're going to be going slow exiting the corner.
Yeah, this is a very difficult racetrack to run. Really, the best way to run this racetrack, in my opinion, is focus on getting the car to rotate through the center of the corner. And you really have to watch your entry. You have to back up your corners. You have to play around with the brake bias to get that car cranked into the corner. There have been times where I've raced here at Phoenix Raceway where I've dialed the brake bias 2 or 3 times during a run just because the car either gets tight, it starts to get loose. You kind of want it to go where the car is neutral. So sometimes you get a little bit loose, you try to dial the brake a little bit forward. If it gets tight, you dial the brake a little bit back, just to try and work those tires a little bit. It's a driver's racetrack, this one. It comes down to a driver kind of thinking about what's the car doing, how am I going to get the car to rotate through the center on entry and of course on exit. Exit's so difficult here. You get so down on the RPMs through the corners here that when you try to get that RPM up, sometimes once you get into the power band, it can sometimes snap around on you. So that's something you also have to watch out for here. And just pushing the car through the corner, you can sometimes just overshoot the corner and then you're up out of the groove. And here the groove is pretty narrow around this racetrack. You don't often see a lot of passes around the outside. And so if you get a little bit too high up the racetrack, there's a chance you're going to push up into the outside wall. And this outside wall is extremely unforgiving, especially out of turn number 4. More often than not, if you hit that turn 4 wall, you will find yourself inside, hitting the inside wall in a split second. It is a really unforgiving racetrack, but it's a racetrack that I love driving because it is such a driver's racetrack. And it's one of those things where if you find your rhythm here, there's no turning back. You find that rhythm, you'll start moving your way through the field, or if you're the race lead, you'll start to say, "All right, y'all, see you later," and you'll just see cars disappear in your rear view mirror. We do have one car who has taken it to the garage, and that would be Todd Kirkwood, making his Premier Series debut in the number 86 machine. Unfortunately, he has brought that number 86 machine off track. But Carlos, one thing I'm watching a couple battles out there in the racetrack, but one battle I've been watching is actually the number 31 machine of Jordan Berry. We noted a couple laps ago that he was starting to struggle in that race car. In fact, he's lost a couple more positions. He's now back in the 23rd position, losing a spot to Alan Young. Having a little bit of connection issues himself there. As you see a couple of cars up ahead starting to do battle. That would be the 55 of Brian Yazik and the 28 of Troy Haight. And what's happened to Troy Haight here? Looks like he just kind of lost a couple spots in a single lap. He went from 16th all the way back to 19th in a lap in that P&E Enterprises number 28 machine. That white and green car that you see right there on the center of your screen. So all of a sudden, starting to see some good battles here in the midfield. There goes the number 19 machine. Oh, the number 49 still having a little bit of connection issues as Cody Spiker makes the move underneath them here through turn number 3 and 4. This is really, Carlos, what I would say the best racing is in the field as of right now. Pretty much all single file up towards the front. Will Worcester, Craig Stykes still holding on to 1 and 2. Richard Fletcher in the 43 Will Worcester Racing machine has fallen 1 lap down, so don't address your TV sets just yet. We do have these Slice Perky Pints machines, 1, 2, 3 right now, but it is Fletcher in the third car in line is currently fallen 1 lap down. Race control, Sam Maxwell getting on the chat a little bit. Couldn't quite hear what he said. Oh, contact!
Caution is out.
We have caution.
Oh,
no! That's Ty Hester and Shane Parrish. And Parrish is reversing up the racetrack. Woo, there they go. They're going to get things sorted out. That's your race leader. Won't be all too happy. We'll see what... Oh, there we go.
Got that tight loose off there.
Carlos, that's what I was mentioning just a few minutes ago, is that outside wall will absolutely eat your lunch. Look at Will Worcester having to come to a complete stop out there on the racetrack. We'll have to see whether or not iRacing still scores him as the race leader. It looks like it will. He's gone back up to the front. That's good news. I kind of thought that he might lose the race lead due to that, but
that is closer. That is... From an outside camera, it's not too bad. It's still scary, but it's not too bad. But from that in-car shot or that roof shot, that is closer than you would expect. Because usually by that point, the majority of the drivers are already on relax mode. The caution's out. They're slowing down for the pace car. The people behind them are close enough where you're not really going to fear them running into the back of you. So that whole high intensity section is gone, so you're in the relaxed mode, and that's usually the worst, that's usually the worst time for something bad to happen in front of you, just because it's the last thing you're going to be expecting. And unfortunately, I have fallen victim to that, where I've let my guard down, relax, and then there's a wreck in front of me, just because maybe a couple of drivers are making mistakes under caution, and I don't see it until it's too late, and I get involved in it. Fortunately for the 29, and even more fortunately for him, the guys behind him and Will Worcester were able to slow down in time and not make a situation even worse.
Interestingly enough, we do have some cars on pit road. In fact, some with some pretty significant damage, Carlos. Jay Crable in the number 87 has a lot of left rear damage. There he is getting some of that damage repaired. Not quite sure where or when that happened.
To see if maybe that checkup costed him.
I was going back and trying to find it, but it looked like it happened on lap number 31. So about 6 or 7 laps ago, there was a coming together between Eric Stanford and the number 87 machine in turn number 1 and 2. We missed that. But Eric Stanford, one of the two Serve Pro racing machines in this field in the 85, got some right front damage. We did have a decent number of takers on pit road. Won't say a whole lot of the field came down pit road. 25 cars stayed out, so your top 25 cars are still on the tires that they started with. And Carlos, of course, we mentioned this earlier. That's due to the fact that they only have 2 additional sets of tires that can go on these race cars throughout the race. So it'll be interesting to see who decides to come down later in the field and whatnot. But for right now, your race leader is the number 29 of Will Worsler.
Yeah,
And there's the number 49.
37 laps into 35 laps into a green flag run. It's a pretty big number, but this is a shorter track than usual, just about a mile. It's 150 laps though. If you pit now, you're gonna have to pretty much stretch 60 laps, 65 laps. Hey, I did 115 laps. You're gonna have to stretch 115 laps, or pardon me, cut it in half. So 115 divided by 2. You do the math. I'm not getting paid to do math here. So you do the math, and that's not really a number I want to stretch it out to.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's why a lot of the leaders decided, hey, I'm just gonna, wait a little bit before coming down pit road. But I'll tell you what, the green flag is back in the air here. What happened, Carlo?
I did not see the one to go, but yeah, green flag is back out there. I was just taking a look at the couple of the back of the cars, thinking about math, and green flag just shot right by me. So I do apologize for that. We're gonna prevent that from now on. But Will Worsler edging on past the number 57 of Correct Stikes once again on this first restart of the race. No problem there for Will Worsler and the number 57, clearing the rest of the field by over half a second at this point, as Mitch Brown is getting some competition there by Kelsey Rogers side by side into turns 1 and 2. Usually the corner where I don't want to go side by side with, especially with that dogleg cut off in half. But Peter, these guys in the restart, this is the best time to make positions. Why? There's somebody up against the wall.
Yeah, boy, oh boy, this is the time to make the passes, like you said, Carlos, and sometimes it causes you to go up there near the wall. Let's go on board. This is Cody Spiker, I do believe, coming out of turn number 2. There's the number 6 of Jared Haggerty right in front of him. This is looking back now. Oh, and we have a caution. Car around, it looks to be the number 34 machine, perhaps, and also the number 9 going around. Kelsey Rogers in the 34, definitely quite a bit of damage to the front end of that machine. There he is. Saw the number 9 of Stokes involved. Ooh, Christopher Bouchard there in the number 50. Brian Yazik nowhere to go. Tried to get it slowed down. HPP simulation machine not looking as good. What happened here? There's John Jenkins going to the inside. Whoa! Jenkins got loose and just tagged the number 34 machine. Bouchard, give that man a medal in the number 50 machine. My oh my, and oof. Unfortunately not so lucky for Brian Yazik. But Carlos, let's go on board with the number 50. After we go on board with the number 34, you see him just get tagged right there. He does everything he can to save it. And unfortunately, just ran out of room a little bit there, got tagged again. There's the number 9 going around, going off and hitting the front of the number 34. But I got to see this replay off the front end of the number 50. This is going to be fun, folks. Watch this happen right in front of him. The number 7 slides up. He goes underneath the 7, gets on the binders. Clear racetrack right in front of him. That's how you keep your car clean in a very tight situation. Move by that we saw there. I mean, action all over the racetrack. Here we go, watching off the front end of the number 9 machine. Watch him. He got loose down there on the apron, tried to save it, and unfortunately went back up the racetrack into Kelsey Rogers. And I'm sure he'll come down pit road and get some of that damage repaired. Haven't seen Kelsey Rogers on pit road. He's still being scored in 22nd here. We'll see whether or not he decided to come down pit road or not. Doesn't look like it. So Kind of surprising. We're almost to the 1/3 race distance. I kind of expected to see at least Kelsey Rudders on pit road, Carlos.
Yeah, I still think it's a little too early. We did have a very long initial start to this race, as it appears I may have we may be going into radio broadcast there. Oh no, we're back. Hey, how is everybody doing? It appears that we had a longish run to start this race initially, but it seems now that we've got a couple of laps here under caution, and then a quick restart of caution comes out. I think you can be able to stretch out. I think you could be able to stretch out these tires just a little bit longer. Maybe wait for another caution to come out before you go down pit road, Peter.
Yeah, we'll wait and see on whether or not. I don't know. This race kind of had a green flag feel to it before, but we'll have to see how cautions breed cautions, or whether or not they do or not. So I kind of think that I don't know. I think this could come to some drivers, but only time. If I'm saying that correctly, is asking where's Lorello. Well, James Lorello in the number 3 machine. He's currently running inside the top 10 in the 10th position. There he is in that bright yellow and orange machine at the bottom of your screen, now kind of right in the center. Good looking race car. Good looking paint scheme on that number 3 machine, Carlos. And that's one thing I've noticed, that Lorello brings a fairly interesting race car to the racetrack. It always kind of stands out, and it's pretty cool to see. James Lorello, of course, jumping over here into the Premier Series. Also getting word from Todd Kirkwood that he lost power. Possibly needs a new setup, new racing setup, a new sim rig of sorts. So hopefully you can get that sorted out. Be back next week here for your second Premier Series start there, Todd. But pace car lights are off. We're going to go back to green flag action. The number 29 of Will Worcer so far has here at Raceway, and indeed he did. So Will Worcer going to slide up in front of teammate Craig Stykes. Hold on to the race lead. Steve Puhala in the Holco Intercon number 12 machine is kind of out back. Not quite sure if he's been having an issue. I think he came down to try and get some damage repaired. But there's a lot of racing going on right now. 2x2x2. 3 wide right now with the number 71 of Adam Jersky. I think Jersky almost got turned here coming out of turn number 2. We'll have to see if we can go back and see a replay of the number 71 machine of Jersky, but he was inside the top 5 and now finds himself back in 17th. I think there was a little bit of contact. Might have to go a little bit further back into that. Okay, so going back to the restart. I'm watching live to see if anything else happens, but watch what happened here coming out of turn number 2 here in just a little bit. We have another car headed to pit road as I speak. And that car on pit road right now. Here we go. This is the replay I was mentioning. Got the number 32 machine on the inside, Jordan Harnish. Ooh. There's the contact. And 71 did a great job to save it, but came down the racetrack right in front of the 6. Nowhere for Haggerty to go in that Cheerwine Toyota. And luckily for the 71, is he's still out there in the racetrack in 16th. Now I was trying to see who came down pit road. Couldn't quite tell who that was.
John
Getting
Jenkins.
Reports that... Oh, John Jenkins in the 7. Okay, so that super clean Toyota Camry. He does have a decent amount of rear end damage. But he is now going to find himself 1 lap down. Shane Parrish also 1 lap down in the Surf Pro Ford. Good news for John Jenkins is he will actually be the first car 1 lap down because he stays in front of Shane Parrish. Also getting reports that Steve Puhala has taken the number 12 Holco Intercon Ford Mustang to the garage. Jackson Van Volkenberg in the number 23 also taking his machine to the garage. So we're down to 37 of the 40 starters here tonight. But Carlos back up the front. The number 29, Will Worcer, still holding on to the race lead as we cross the 1/3 distance.
Yeah, no problem there for number 29, Will Worcer. He's doing what needs to be done, but you cannot let that guard down because Craig Stykes is just... He's been hanging on with him in that initial green flag run to start this race. the furthest he dropped back was about 4/10 of a second before the caution came out, and he was never really that far out of it, to be fair. So it seems like Will Wurster cannot just comply with just leading this race. He needs to figure out how to hold on to that number 57 of how to hold on in front of the number 57 of Craig Stykes, because there's some sort of mind games or mind type of mind play that you can do when you're behind the wheel, especially when you have a vehicle that could be faster than the leader. And we've talked about this before, Peter, where you can just hang on in second place behind that leader, knowing that you have a faster vehicle, follow that person's line, and you could essentially be intimidating the leader, as well as having the leader.
I do believe.
What's up?
Carlos, you're back?
Yeah, I am back. I do apologize. We appear to be having some sort of connection issues. Unfortunately, this type of connection issue is something we cannot diagnose with the race going on at the moment. So we do apologize. Everything appeared to be running fine. There may be some sort of outage going on. You know how AT&T is, doesn't really care about the customer too much. But yes, going back to what I was saying, playing those mind games in second place. I like hanging back behind the race leader. The one time in my career I've ever been faster than the race leader. But just hanging in behind them, playing some games, can cause that race leader to maybe drive a little bit harder than they should, cause those tires to wear out.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give a shout out to James Crable in the chat. Says it's awesome to see the glass door being atop the banner. Caution. Flown. We'll have to see exactly what happened. And we have one car around, the number 17 machine, Jay Crable. Here we go on the 3-wide TV replay. Got number 49 to his inside, and oh boy, that was really tight, just coming together. Good news for Richard Stallings was he was able to do a 360 there and get back going, as it looks like we're still having a little bit of connection troubles here around this racetrack. And I wonder if it has anything to do with the iRacing update that happened today. Here we go, another view of the replay. The number 49 Jets, Jake Douglas in that machine, getting up into the number 17.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So Richard Stallings.
I do apologize. Unfortunately, it seems like because the connection dropped out there while the caution came out, it seems like every time we show that replay, that connection dropping out will always be showing on the replay. So unfortunately for that replay right there, that's as far as we can get there for tonight. But Peter, yeah, go on ahead and say what you were saying. Pit now. Been a couple more laps. Might still be a little too early, but it's a good chance, and looks like these guys might be doing
Will Worsler. Will Worsler's coming down, folks. Your race leader, number 29 machine, the Slice. Porcupine's machine on pit road, followed by Craig Stykes, Mitch Brown, Christopher Bouchard, Jordan Harnish. Your top 5 cars on pit road. We do have some drivers staying out, though. Michael Krobot, Cody Spiker, Jimmy McKee. John Jenkins will get the wave around here, but my oh my, a lot of action all of a sudden happening on pit road, Carlos.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these guys going down pit road, and we're seeing, it appears, 6 drivers stayed out. The 72 Krobach, 19 to Cody Spiker, 8 of Jimmy McKee, 85 Eric Stanford, Alex Giese, Brian Yazik, and Richard Stallings. That's 7 drivers, now 8 with Jake Douglas. So it may work out for a couple of those drivers up front, especially if a caution comes out within 15 or 20 laps. But the longer this goes, this could be playing into a benefit to Will Worsler, 9th and back, and all those guys that went down pit road. Just because if we have a long run, it's going to work out for them perfectly fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be fun to see what Crobot can do in that HPPsimulation.com machine. Got splash and go graphics on the rear bumper of that car, now leading. And there's the number 19, Cody Spiker, right behind him. And Cody's bounced it off the outside wall. We saw that replay a little bit earlier. Jimmy McKee running in 3rd now. So first car off. Top 7 cars have anywhere between 15 and 22 laps on their tires. So we'll have to see what that lap difference will do. Now, good news for your top 7 is there's been quite a few caution laps in the last 17 laps or so. So that should help with the tire differential, the lap differential between them and Will Worsler and company. Biggest loser on pit road was Craig Stykes in the number 57. He dropped from second back to fourth. We'll have to see whether or not he can charge his way to the front. Meanwhile, the number 51 of Mitch Brown, good stop for him. He had a 14.2 second stop and was able to move past Bouchard and Stykes up into what is now the 9th position, but the second car off pit road in that Patriot Media Marketing Services Toyota Camry. Great to see the bright blue and purple on that car. Gotta say, it's got a Miami vibe to it, does that number 51 machine, Carlos. And of course, you being from the Miami area, it's kind of a cool scheme on that car, I would say.
Yes, I believe that is the word that we like to describe as vice, but not true vice, but I can sense what you're referring to when you say Miami.
Yeah, it just reminds me of the neat lights of Miami. Action out in the desert, different type of sand out there, not quite a beach, but your race leader, Michael Krobach, already on the lab pedal. That HPPsimulation.com machine is going to scoot away here in front of the field. Good restart for Krobach as he heads into turn number 1 and 2, right in front of the number 8 of Jimmy McKee, who's trying to get past the number 19 of Cody Spiker. This side-by-side battle now for second. We'll have to see how long will it take for Will Worsler to start moving up the field. You saw the number 77 of Alex Giese go up the racetrack. As well, a little bit of contact between Jordan Harnish and Craig Stykes. Might have been a little bit of net code. Oh, the 51 of Mitch Brown sideways slides his way into the corner. My, oh my, it's not dirt track week here. It's not dirt week. But that Patriot Media Marketing Solutions Toyota had a big slide on entry into turn number 1. Let's see if he got a little bit of help here from behind. Looked like there might have been help there. Definitely help from the number 17, Richard Stallings. You see Stallings got the worst of it. He lost a couple of spots. But now we'll have to see if Mitch Brown can rally from that. He slid back to the 10th position quite literally as your race leader going by the slow car of Jake Douglas, who came down pit road. He's now down in 35th. He'll be the first car 1 lap down as all your leaders doing battle. But here comes the number 8, Carlos, Jimmy McKee, battling for the race lead here at Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah, side by side going into turns 1 and 2 as number 8 is planted right next to that yellow line, trying to get himself a good drive off, as I believe number 72, Michael Krobach, should have gotten the better drive off, but I think he may have missed turns 1 and 2 there slightly, as that's going to cost him down there going into turns 3 and 4. That 8 is doing pretty good on the inside, but turns 3 and 4 is more forgiving on the outside. And it looks like the number 72, Michael Krobach, is going to be getting that advantage once again on the outside, going into 1 and 2 side by side. I believe this is going to be it, the battle for the lead, as that's going to go for the 8. Number 19 of...
I was going to say, but Carlos, look who's now lurking in the 4th position. The number 29 of Will Worsler's gone from 8th to 4th here in just about 7 laps. And that number 29 is hunting for the front here. Once again, he's been oh so fast here in the early going. Will Worsler, that sliced porcupines Chevy Camaro, looking for his first Hacksaw PC's Premier Series. Huge slide there from Cody Spiker right in front of him. But look at that gaggle of cars right behind him. 2 by 2, pretty much from the 6th position or so, 5th position, all the way back through around 10th. Craig Stykes in the 57 trying to use the outside groove. Look at the number 50, Bouchard, using the outside groove as well. In fact, that's how Bouchard got through. Meanwhile, Will Worsler's got himself up into 3rd.
Ooh, yeah, right there. Maybe slightly tapped the wall there for the 50. But yeah, Will Worsler got himself into 3rd. As I could have sworn that he already was in 3rd. So I didn't show the possible close battle there. But Will Worsler and yes, Queen Nikki, don't worry. I can predict that the number 29 might be back at the front very, very soon should a caution not come out. As there he goes, the number 29, Will Worsler, planting his car down there deep below the yellow line. Passing the number 72, Michael Krobach, into 2nd place, Cody Spiker. Oh, maybe from my point of view, kind of looked like he shoved it in there, but definitely more than enough space as Michael Korbach is once again trying to hold off the number 19 of Cody's Bikers.
Single file now all the way back to around the 15th position or so. Alex Giese in the number 77 continues his slide through the field, now back to 16th and kind of stuck around the outside roof. There he goes on board with the number 77 machine. Now has the number 46 machine, Chris Stouffer, to his inside. Haven't talked about Stouffer much here tonight. Inside the top 20 now, trying to move his way forward through this event. Stouffer started back in the 37th position. Now he's moved up to the 17th spot as we run, so plus 20 for him. Eric Stanford, really the only other driver who is up 20 plus positions, and he's starting to slide back. Remember, Carlos, the number 85 was one of those drivers who stayed out under this last caution, and he has already moved back to the 9th position or so. Actually, excuse me, he's going to lose another couple spots here, so he's back to 12th position this time at the line as live timing scoring continues to update here as these cars flash by. But Will Worcester, ladies and gentlemen, taking the race.
Yeah, let's go see if we can go back and see when exactly that happened.
Focusing on that big gaggle of cars, but looks like Will Worcester closed in on Jimmy McKee like he'd been doing, slowly but surely. Going into turn number 1 here, still right behind. You see how close he gets, Carlos. He's just setting him up here. Gets a good run coming out of turn number 2. Just drives underneath them, side by side. I bet you anything he's going to pass him right here through turn number 3 and 4. There you go. That's what happened. And now Will Worcester is your race leader going back live. Will Worcester has already jumped out to a pretty decent lead after making that move. He's up to about 3/4 of a second lead over Jimmy McKee, turning the fastest laps around this 1 mile raceway.
Yeah,
there's a number 57, Carlos, Craig Stykes. I was going to mention him, and he's into 5th. Remember, he kind of had a few little bumps along the road. He's got a little bit of rear end damage from the restart, in fact, but now he's starting to battle with Michael Krobach in the number 72.
Yeah, you can see right there has some type of damage. Oh, you saw it right there. As I did some research, and it does appear there does appear to be a small outage here on Miami. So, unfortunately, that is out of my hands. And if I could switch to another provider on the fly, I would do that. But we will have to be bearing some technical difficulties. But yeah, the number 57 of Correct Strikes also moving up, not as fast as Will Worcester was moving up. But Craig Stykes, his teammate, up to 4th and slowly trying to get himself back up to 2nd. However, this is playing very, very well into the hands of Will Worcester, who is already up to 1.5 second lead to 2nd place, and that number is going to only keep on growing until Craig Stykes is able to go by these guys. However, another thing to mention. These guys are updated tire models. These tire models are behaving more like they do in real life. It's still not there, but it's closer. And one thing that happens in real life is that those off tires or those new tires start to wear out, and they start to even out a little bit more. As how challenging is it going to be for Craig Stykes to pass some of these guys? Once he comes back, I'll ask Peter because Peter cannot hear me at the moment. Peter, okay, now Peter can hear me. But yes, Peter, how hard is it for Craig Stykes to pass some of these vehicles up ahead? The longer it takes for them to get by.
Well, they definitely start to even out. I've raced a little bit with this new tire model. I would say this tire model kind of has cliffs. It's really good for a couple of laps, and it evens out. And then there's a certain point in the run where it just starts to drop off. And it really depends on how long it takes for these tires to reach that cliff, so to speak, and then they start to fall off pretty much exponentially. And right now, I mean, we got the number 8 machine of Jimmy McKee, who's now side-by-side with the number 50 of Christopher Bouchard. McKee's done a really good job of keeping his number 8 machine up near the front. Unfortunately, he's going to lose the 2nd position and perhaps even the 3rd position here as both Bouchard and Craig Stykes look to make the move on him going down the front stretch into turn number 1. But I'm very impressed with what McKee is doing. He has about 14 laps older tires than your race leader. And that's, a decent chunk of change on your laps. Quite a bit when you factor into percentage-wise. He's got almost double the laps on his tires as the race leaders. But Mitch Brown in the number 51 machine, he's in 5th. He will be the next car to catch Jimmy McKee as this run continues to go on. Of course, we've now been under green flag for about 20 laps around Phoenix Raceway. Will Worcester up to a 2.6 second race lead over Christopher Bouchard. Currently looking at the field, we have 34 cars on the lead lap. Kelsey Rogers in the number 34 machine inside the top 10 in points, not having a great night. A lot of front-end damage from that earlier accident. Ty Hester, who has had a good season getting the win earlier this year, he is struggling one lap down in 37th. Shane Parrish, one of the Surf Pro Racing machines, is down also in 36th. Jake Douglas in the Isla Morada Beer Company had some connection issues earlier. He is 35th, one lap down. First car one lap down. As you see the number 19, Cody Spiker there, Carlos. And Cody Spiker in that 19 car, just holding on, just lost the 10th position to Woody Mahan. I was going to say, he's one of those cars that has 14 lap holder tires as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of cones being shoved around there as Jim Foose is getting ready to maybe hand out a penalty there for some of these drivers. Remember, drivers, do not hit those cones. That can lead to a penalty.
Oh. Carlos side-by-side battle for second in turn number 1 and 2. Craig Stykes underneath Christopher Bouchard and move him back up into the second position. Craig Stykes just drove it to the bottom of the racetrack in turn number 1 and 2. Got a good run coming out of turn number 4. Was able to set up Bouchard and made that pass stick here in the slower portion of this mile racetrack. Turn number 1. And I gotta say, once again, we have the Will Worcester machines running 1-2. I know Nicky Worcester will be excited to hear that. But Will Worcester now up to a 3.25 second lead over his teammate. On board now with Mitch Brown trying to get around Jimmy McKee for 4th position. Looks like Mitch is going to dive it down to the inside as we have had another retirement here. It looks like
85.
Eric Stanford in the 85 machine. Yeah, one of the Surf Pro Racing Fords has taken it to the garage. That's a tough break. Surf Pro only having 2 cars in tonight's field. I want to give a shout out to Surf Pro. They are one of the sponsors this year in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series. Of course, Kirkwood Transportation on the banner for tonight's race. But there's another sponsor of the league, Patriot Media and Marketing Services, on the hood of your reigning series champion, the number 51 of Mitch Brown, Carlos.
Yeah, Mitch Brown definitely trying to get himself back up. Trying to get himself in a good position to win this race. He's got him by number 30 in Harnish, and is now eyeing down the number 50 of Christopher Bouchard. But as the laps go on and these runs keep on going green flag, it should more than likely be in the favor of Mitch Brown, as well as all these drivers that did come down pit road during the last caution. As now the highest position driver that stayed out is a number 8 of Jimmy McKee, who is currently in 6th place. Now that's not too bad. Maybe, I don't know if we can get a position as to where he was before that caution came out previously, but 6th place isn't too bad. Unfortunately, though, I expect for him to drop more spots as the run goes on, Peter.
Yeah, I was going to say that going back to Surf Pro next week, I should say, we go to Atlanta for the first Surf Pro Wheelman Showdown race, and that's going to be pretty awesome. 150 miles around the hot and slick Atlanta Motor Speedway. So that should be pretty awesome. Of course, if you're joining us for the first multi-race championship within a championship, so that is going to be pretty cool to see who is going to come away with the Surf Pro Wheelman Showdown Championship once it is all said and done. But we're in the closing stages of this one. 62 laps to go around Phoenix Raceway. Your race leader the number 29 of Will Worsler. In fact, he's closing in on some lap traffic right now, Carlos. Catching up to the back end of the number 34 of Kelsey Rogers, who unfortunately doesn't seem to be able to overcome his night with the damage he's got on the front end of that car. Trying to see, he last pitted 31 laps ago, so he pitted with the likes of Will Worsler and Craig Sykes. It just seems like that damage a little bit too much, unfortunately, for that number 29, or excuse me, number 34.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can see some side-by-side action, Carlos. I know there's a little bit out there on the racetrack. Here's Brandon Stokes and Michael Krobach going at it. Remember, Krobach stayed out under that last caution. Now he slid back to 10th, losing out to Brandon Stokes there. James Crable in the number 87.
Sorry about that, Peter. You caught me with a mouthful of water there. You want some side-by-side action, but the majority of these guys they're more trying to figure out the track themselves as the 87 goes into the inside of turns 1 and 2. They're trying to pass the number 19. Actually got himself a little bit loose entering the corner, possibly locked up the rear end. You can always fix some of that by adding just some front brake. But not too much racing going on as we're in the midst of a long run, and these drivers with this new package, they're kind of more trying to figure it out themselves and trying to make sure they don't wreck the cars. You know, the 87 tried to do that already twice in one corner. That's the reason why we're not getting too much side by side going on. But of course, the more I talk about it, the more these guys are going side by side, Peter.
Yeah, James Crable, Glassdoor Brewing on the hood in that 87, trying to move forward. Got to give a shout out to Glassdoor Brewing, of course, a series sponsor here in the Hacksaw PCs, one of the lesser sponsors here, but now the title sponsor of the American Sim Racing Series Truck Series, their developmental series that runs. Very cool to see them, and Crable running in 17th, just trying all he can do to get around Cody Spiker in front of him in the number 19. And now going to try the outside here, Carlos, in turn number 3 and 4. Don't see that all too often, but I'll tell you what, if you can pin him down there on the inside, you might be able to get the run on him coming off the corner, and that's exactly what he did here. Jay Crable, excuse me, trying to move up. Maybe having a little bit of connection issue there, just blinking.
Yeah, that one is not on my end.
We got almost contact. Nick Curling in the 10 machine, just out of view, just behind this gaggle of cars. He almost got into it with, I think, the number 31 of Jordan Berry. No, excuse me, the number 18 machine, Doug Mullins. Let's watch this very tight there. Great save in that number 10 machine. So, unfortunately, though, he will slide back to 23rd. Got SimLab on the hood of that number 10 machine, doing battle with Tim Knott right now. Oh man, as I say that, we're 3 wide through the kink on the backstretch, and boy, oh boy, that was crazy out of the corner of my eye. Oh, we got a car, the 71. Oh my goodness, how did Adam Jersky not lose control of the car, Carlos? Watch that one here.
Ooh, right there. Yeah, you saw that 31 make some contact with the number 71, and that sent 31 up against the outside wall. Heavy damage to that 31. That's what you were talking about, going 3 wide side by side into the corner. Maybe overdrove it, trying to march back up with the group, and hit the number 71.
Yeah, so that is definitely not the night he's hoping for here. Adam Jersky got Beef Jersky's Cheesecakes on the hood. I said it right that time, Carlos.
I cannot find that company online.
Oh, love that. Maybe he's just doing it to be a tongue twister for the commentators. Who knows? But pretty cool to see that number 71. Good paint scheme on that number 71. Just a little bit of rear end damage now from that contact. Haven't really talked about Jason Stewart here tonight. Checkered Flag PC on the hood. Splash and Go graphics as well. And number 1 machine, Jason Stewart, not having the best of nights here tonight, languishing back in 26th. There he is right behind Adam Jersky. Jersky in 25th now, has that big gaggle of cars that we had from the 16th position on back, has gotten single file, now led by Jay Crable in the Glassdoor Brewing machine. Let's quite a bit of ways up to Clarence Bonner in the number 99. Who's running Kirkwood Transportation on the hood. Jared Haggerty 14th, Alan Young 13th. Haven't really talked about Alan Young, but gotta say, Carlos, that's kind of par for the course for that number 24 machine. He kind of stays quiet for a good majority of the race, but all of a sudden, he'll start making his way up there towards the top 10. Chris Stouffer in the number 46 as well. We mentioned him a little bit earlier. He's having a solid run in 12th position now. But looking up towards the front, pretty much single file from most of the top 10.
And Christopher is the biggest mover of the night so far. Plus 25, I apologize. The second biggest mover would be that number 3 of James Lorello. Yeah, plus 21. So James in the top 10, currently 7th, and we got a nice battle going side by side between the number 34 and the number 8, Peter.
Yeah, Jimmy McKee trying to put Kelsey Rogers one lap behind him. Kelsey still struggling with that damage, but that has allowed James Lorello and Grant Brown in the number 52 machine. I haven't really mentioned Grant Brown here tonight, but that's another one of those really good-looking blue cars. Kind of got a midnight blue vibe to that number 52. He's going to get around Kelsey Rogers here, but now we have a side-by-side battle for the 6th position. Jimmy McKee to the outside, James Lorello to the inside. Getting a little bit tight there through the dog leg on the back stretch. And I think Lorello has slightly fresher tires than the number 8 machine, and he will indeed make that pass stick. So,
who's that?
Gotta say that. Someone having issues there, Carlos?
Number 52, doing what the people in the business like to call draft dodging at Phoenix.
All right, we got El Globo Films saying, boom, Lorello making yet another move. Yep, great to see Lorello starting to move forward. In fact, speaking of James Lorello, he's now trying to put the number 36 of Ty Hester behind him. Remember, Hester's now 2 laps down, but unfortunately for Lorello, he's got quite a distance up to the number 32 of Jordan Harnish, who is currently the highest placed Kirkwood Transportation machine in 5th, and trying to close in on the back bumper of Christopher Bouchard. But Carlos, we're kind of at that point in the race where I've got to start to think about possibly coming down pit road. 46 laps to go. When do you think we'll see these drivers coming down for their last set of 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles?
I think some of these guys are going to be going down pit road now, especially these guys that stayed out, like Jimmy McKee, who's at 7th. Hasn't lost as many spots as I actually predicted he would have. I thought he would have lost maybe a couple more, but he's already gone 62 laps. There's only 45 laps left in this race. Go down pit road now. Hope that there isn't a caution, because you're not going to win this race right now. You have to do something else that the leaders are doing. And I think he's too far back to maybe win this race, even if he goes down pit road now and everything goes his way. But you can get a couple spots there just by pitting in early and trying to manage 45, 44 laps of tires, which is what all these guys out on track are doing. The race leader, Will Worcester, is already at 50 laps on this tire run. I say go down pit road now. I think you're good to go, Peter. What do you think?
I think you're good to go. I mean, it's definitely a gamble. They've been on these tires now for 50 laps. Like you said, there's less than 50 laps to go. If you pit now, assuming you can't make it all the way on fuel, I'm trying to think if that's doable. I don't believe it is doable. I think it's kind of close, but I don't quite think it's doable to make it 100 laps on fuel here, or 95 laps on fuel, I should say.
I did not think about that.
But you never know. Maybe so. Oh, we got a caution car around in turn number 3 as I say that. And Jake Douglas, Richard Stallings, both involved. Shane Parrish and the Serve Pro machine getting involved in another accident here tonight. I saw the number 49 go around. Oh, yeah, looks like off the front end of the number 81. Look at Edward Bray scooting through there. Richard Stallings, an innocent bystander, getting involved. Looks like mainly just 3 cars with significant damage. You can see, oh man, Jake did everything he could to try and save that number 49 machine, but it was all for naught. A lot of rear end damage to the Isla Morada machine. Here we go, on board with number 17, Richard Stallings. You see the accident happen in front of him. He's trying to slow down, and I think he was hoping to kind of split them through the middle there, Carlos, and it just kind of closed up on him.
Yeah, that was not going to happen, unfortunately.
All right, so, well, that answered the question of when they're going to come down pit road, Carlos,
they're
because
now.
I expect to see everyone on pit road right now as we speak. It's going to be interesting to see if anyone decides to throw the dice, and it's Craig Stykes who's throwing the dice. My, oh my. I don't know how this is going to work out for him. He's going to lose a lot of track position here, Carlos. We'll have to, and I say he's going to lose a lot of track position. If he pits after this, he'll lose a lot of track position. But we do have all your race leaders on pit road. Will Worcester leads them on to pit road. The good news for Craig Stykes, and I'll get back to this in just a moment, we'll see who wins the race off pit road here as you see the left sides going up on all of those cars. And Will Worcester, first car down and away. Ooh, battle for second was tight between the 50 of Bouchard and the 51. And
I think he's sped.
Did the speeding police get Mitch Brown? Well, he's sitting on pit road. We will have to wait and see if he can crank that number 51 back up. But that might be game, set, and match for Mitch Brown. Speeding on pit road, looks like he's back rolling, getting that Patriot Media and Marketing Solutions or Services machine back rolling. So yeah, he's going to be well back in the pack here now, Carlos, and I'm sure Mitch Brown just kicking himself over that. But I'll tell you what, if there's anything more crazy than a bull in a china shop, it's going to be Mitch Brown charging his way through the field here with under 40 laps to go. He's a very quick driver and isn't afraid to let it all hang out. We saw that a couple times last year, especially going for that Hacksaw PC's Premier Series title. But we have only 40 miles left in tonight's Kirkwood Transportation 150. Got to give a shout out to some of the other series sponsors that we haven't mentioned here tonight. Victory Lane Quick Oil Change, Step Tire, Falcon Race Wraps as well, and of course American Regardless and DB Sim Racing. So go check out American Regardless. I know Jim Foose, league owner and organizer, always touting them. American made clothing, so if you need some American made clothes, well, make sure to check out American Regardless. I got some very cool, unique graphic tees, and definitely will be one of the league sponsors for years to come, I am sure. Great to see them on board once again. But there is your race leader, Craig Stykes. Jay Crable also doing this alternate strategy. Got the number 28 right behind him, Troy Haight, Jason Stewart. Remember, Stewart's not had a great night. Maybe this strategy will be able to turn him around. Fifth position, Tim Knott. And then you find the first car with 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles, Will Worsler, in that Slice Perky Pints machine. But Carlos, cautions breed cautions. What do you expect to see in these last 39 laps before we go green?
I think we're going to go to the rest of the way here. These guys are professionals, and they have the skill to make it green the rest of the way, Peter.
All right, well, pace car, lights off, headed down pit road, race in the hands of, a lot of wheel spin out of that front row. And I was just about to mention that Craig Stykes better watch out for a little bit of wheel spin, because he spun the tires, as did Jay Crable. Here we go, on board with the number 29 of Will Worcester. Look at those 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles close right up on the back bumper of Troy Haight. Now, Will Worcester diving down to the inside here through the dog leg. This is going to be crazy here, Carlos. Couple of cars on fresh tires, couple of cars on old tires. Who will this pay off for? There's the number 8 machine stuck in the middle. Remember, the number 8 machine, Jimmy McKee, used some different strategy to get some track position a little bit earlier. There he is. Look at James Zorello in the number 3 machine as we're still 3 wide. Almost 4 wide. We are 4 wide coming out of turn number 2. My, oh my. This is getting racy here at Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah, there's no way I don't think these guys might be able to make it the rest of the way. Going 4 wide, that's throwing a wrench in my plan. I did not think that could have been a possible outcome, but these guys are proving me wrong. But guess what? They haven't wrecked going 4 wide. And it seems the longer these laps go on, the more laps these guys go on, as Will Worcester is taking the lead, then it'll be easier for these guys to single out and start running some faster lap times and not bring on a caution.
Mitch Brown in the number 51 machine. He's back in the 24th position after that speeding penalty. We'll have to see how that evolves. James Lorello in the number 3 machine. He's worked his way now up into the top 5, moving into the 5th position this time by, and he's closing in on Craig Stykes, who, remember, on those older tires. I'm sure he will make the move on him here pretty shortly. But Carlos, Will Wurzler got to the race lead once again, pretty darn quickly.
I'm really confused on Craig Stykes' part there. I guess the only logical thing I could be thinking of, or the only thing that's coming to my brain as some contact going into the corner. 57's going wide. Oh, what a save! Oh, wow! All right, we gotta get a replay on that one. Oh, another wrecking!
My, oh my, that all happened very quick. Oh, big accident. We got the 28, Troy Haight around. Oh, Christopher. Unfortunately, that number 46 is smoking. Well, a couple of replays to see here, Carlos.
Yeah, a couple of replays.
There's the number 18 machine there. Doug Mullins getting involved. Let's see what happened here. The number 46, they're 3 wide in front of him. And here we go through the dog leg. Oh! Ah, man, that's a tough one. I think the 57 of Stykes kind of expected the 46 to be a little bit lower, but unfortunately just hooked him up into the outside safer barrier. And wow, nowhere for Troy Haight to go. Let's see this one more time. Here we go, on board with Troy Haight in the number 28 machine. You see that number 46 get turned around, nowhere for him to go. Unfortunately, here we go, looking backwards. Oh, 77 Agisi just getting by in that red and black machine. So it all happened a little bit earlier on, when this 57 got hit. Let's see, here we go. This is back up the front. Yep, came down. The number 9 tapped him. And the number 57 saved it. Great save. Went up the racetrack. Look at the 52 kind of scooting right through the middle there. And then coming together right there through the dog leg. I don't really think there's anything else that Christopher could have done there, Carlos. It looked like he was kind of holding his line. That's kind of just a product of the dog leg here at this racetrack. And Craig Stykes in the number 57 on pit road as we speak, getting 4 fresh tires, and we'll have to see whether or not he decides to take the caution for this one. They do have a rule where you get strikes and you do get end of the longest line penalties. Christopher and Craig Stykes, looks like they're both being blamed for it, so it was a racing incident. I gotta say, that is kind of the deal that you get here at this racetrack. Doug Mullins, unfortunately, in the number 18, it looks like the damage that he accrued from that accident will be his night. So Doug Mullins will take that car to the garage, and of course, what am I saying? Of course, Doug Mullins, another one of the Sliced Porcupines machines. So I know he wanted to have a little bit better of a night, especially with his 2 teammates up there running the show. But Doug Mullins almost threw it, tried to split the gap, kind of just what happened to the number 17 just a few laps ago, Carlos. But why don't we dial up some commercials here for you very quickly, and we'll be right back on 3 Wide TV.
Life happens everywhere, like it never even happened, only happens here. The cleanup and restoration specialists at 1-800-SERVPRO and ServPro.com.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Phoenix Raceway. A little bit of connection issues from your second place machine right there, Jordan Harnish. Looks like he's sorted things out, but the pace car lights are off, and hopefully we can go green to the end. It'll be 29 laps to go, and it is the number 29 machine of Will Worsler who gets on the loud pedal first, and he scoots away from Jordan Harnish. He'll clear him here going off into turn number 1, but let's watch that.
Oh, the three!
Oh, contact the 3 in the 50.
Another save! Oh!
And another save, and another save. And my, oh my, we're 3 wide. This didn't end well last time going through the tri-oval on the backstretch, but they make it work this time. Here's the 3 wide TV replay. There's action happening all over the racetrack right now. It's absolutely crazy. It's like highway driving around a mile racetrack. And boy, oh boy, a little bit of contact on the front stretch between Jared Haggerty and Jimmy McKee this time by. They were banging doors off of one another across the start-finish line. There they go through turn number 2 now, through the dogleg. Looks like they've sorted things out. James Lorello in the number 3 is back in 6th. Grant Brown in 7th. And Christopher Bouchard has slid back into 8th. But what a spectacular save from Bouchard. Gotta say, that one is probably going to be one of the saves of the season because it was a double save there. Not only hit once, but twice. There's the number 51. Remember, folks, that number 51 machine, Mitch Brown, had a speeding penalty on pit road, went all the way back to around the 28th position or so. Now he's all the way up to 13th in that Patriot Media and Marketing Services Toyota Camry. Coming out of turn number 4, let's see if he can salvage top 10. Your reigning Hacksaw PC's series champion. Trying to get underneath one of the other sliced porcupines Will Worsler racing machines, Tyler Seville. Haven't mentioned Tyler all night long. Kind of been a quiet night out of that number 11. Usually expect to see him up near the front at some point during the race, but just hasn't really been able to solidly crack the top 10 for an extended period of time tonight. And now Mitch Brown gonna move up into 12th. Whoa, contact right in front of him, Jimmy McKee. Hitting the outside wall coming out of turn number 4. That's going to open the door for the 6 of Haggerty. Oh. They're still really tight there, Carlos.
Yeah, very close to action between number 6 and number 8. I've been seeing that for a little bit. These guys aren't giving it too much. And, of course, with 25 laps to go, I wouldn't blame them either. Going side by side to 3 and 4, you can definitely space yourself out a little bit more. Turns 1 and 2. The corner that I'm worried about is at 8. Gets loose. Smacks the outside wall and is going to lose a ton of spots.
Yeah, second lap in a row that's happened to Jimmy McKee, and he slid all the way now down to around the 15th position, battling with Cody Spiker. He lost 5 spots in a lap, did the number 8 machine. See if he can bounce back from that one after bouncing off the wall. Hopefully he won't bounce back down into traffic here. Ooh. Whoa, Will Worsler, sorry, not Will Worsler, one of the Will Worsler racing machines, Tyler Seville in the number 11, getting loose. He's going to lose a spot to Nick Curling. Move Curling up into 12. This has been a good recovery from Nick Curling. Remember, he was down around 22nd position or so in that SimLab Chevy Camaro. And now he's up to 12th, just outside the top 10. Mitch Brown in the 11th position, trying to move back into the top 10 after that speeding penalty. Nothing is happening up towards the front. Will Worsler has scooted away to about an 8/10 of a second lead over Jordan Harnish. Harnish in second has a good gap over Brandon Stokes in the number 9. Good run for the number 9 of Brandon Stokes here, Carlos.
Yeah, Nicky, we know. Oh no, that's number 11. You can gauge how excited I am based on how high my voice, how many octaves my voice raises. But Nicky, we did not mean to scare you there. You can go ahead and put hashtag blame Peter on that one. And might as well throw out a hashtag blame Carlos for all these tech issues that are going on. But yeah, the 11 got loose there, smacked the outside. Well, actually, did he smack the wide? I think he's got to give himself a clean car there. But he definitely lost a spot or two, losing all that momentum. It is now getting attacked by the number 71 of Adam Jersky with the beef Jersky cheesecakes. Did I get it? I got it.
You said it. It's hard to say. Beef Jersky's cheesecakes.
Hey, I can't do math.
Twister.
I can't speak. I can't see. You can speak sometimes, but that's it for you.
Yeah, sometimes. But got to keep an eye on one of the Momentum Sim racing drivers, number 7, John Jenkins. Remember, folks, he was 1 lap down earlier in this race. He won a couple weeks ago at Las Vegas. He's now got himself up into the 16th position. Good recovery from him. We'll see if he can move towards the top 10, as we only have 19 more laps, 19 more miles around this 1 mile racetrack. Here in tonight's Kirkwood Transportation 150. Here we go, on board with Mitch Brown, 10th place right in front of him. He's going to dive to the inside of the number 6 machine of Jared Haggerty. And not all too surprised to see Haggerty give him plenty of room, those Dirty Bird Sim Racing teammates. Although, as I say that, it looks like Haggerty's saying, all right, not so fast. I do want to hold on to this position for now. So Haggerty on the high side in that Cheerwine machine. Ooh, almost caught the outside wall.
He did.
He did. Threw a few sparks up, and that's going to lose him a couple of spots. Good run for the number 10 of Nick Curley, getting up into the 11th position for now, but Jimmy McKee wants it from the number 10. Not going to be able to get it for now. Whoa, those cars still tight. McKee had to throw a little bit of a block on the number 6 of Haggerty down the front stretch. But
you are
things
not
definitely
missing.
starting to...
Yeah, I apologize. You are not missing much at the front, as Will Worcester has pulled it to over a second lead to Jordan Harnish, and Jordan Harnish is just not able to match the same pace as Will Worcester. So we'll show these guys back up front if any development changes are going on around. But pretty much the battles are going on towards the middle of the pack. Oh, whoa! Did the number 3 overshoot that corner? I think he shoved that lap down vehicle up, and never mind. That's not going to be for position, but I think that 3 may have overshot the corner there. Almost could have brought it a caution, but James Lorello up to 7th. I think he may have lost a couple of spots there since the restart began, but this is looking to be a pretty good run there for the number 3.
I'm keeping my eyes on the number 52 of Grant Brown, the Dirty Bird Sim Racing driver, and he is actually, over the last 5 laps, been one of the fastest cars out there, trying to close in on the car in front of him, the number 84 of Woody Mahan, who has quietly had a solid run here tonight in that number 84 machine. Not a scratch on that car, and can't say that for a lot of the other cars in the field, really. Will Worsler and the number 84, the only cars in the top 5, not really to have any scratches on them, which is somewhat surprising. Grant Brown and the number 52 been involved in a skirmish or two. But he did have the fastest 5-lap average, but it's kind of backed it off the last couple of laps or so in that number 52. Not sure if he just overheated his tires a little bit, but we do have just under 13 laps to go now.
Something to know, Peter. Remember, the league awards 1 bonus point for finishing the race with 0 X's. It's going to be a little hard. We're not going to get too many drivers out here tonight, but maybe one or two of these drivers in the front might be getting away with 0 X's and a bonus point.
One other thing to keep an eye on here tonight, Carlos, is remember we had a couple of drivers on a little bit different strategy. They kind of pitted a little bit later. They saved that set of Goodyear Eagles. The highest placed driver on an alternate strategy from your race leader right now, Jason Stewart in the number 1 machine. And Jason, we kind of mentioned that he wasn't having a great night, but he's been able to make some passes on the slightly fresher Goodyear rubber. And in fact, he's just about to get around Cody Spiker in the number 19 machine for the 14th position. There he goes. Next car right in front of him is the number 6 of Jared Haggerty. Can say that Mitch Brown has now asserted himself in the top 10. Brian Yazik in 9th.
Well, Peter, one thing to keep track of, to keep mind of there is we're getting into single digits now, and if a caution comes out now, I can expect the one of Jason Stewart to go down Pear Road. He's going to lose a lot of spots, but he might come out of it better than where he started. But some of these leaders, they're not going to go down Pear Road, Peter.
Yeah, well, the one of Stewart, he's out of tires as well. He pitted under that last caution, while your race leader pitted 2 cautions ago. So everyone is out of Goodyear tires, to the best of my knowledge. I don't think anyone's got any tires left for the remainder of this race. Remember, the rule here in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series is that you have the tires that you start the race on, and then 2 sets to change into as the race goes on. That's the rule for this week's race. It kind of varies depending on the racetrack and from week to week. But I gotta say, this has been a pretty entertaining race here tonight, Carlos. I mean, Will Warsler has been on an absolute tear. He's up to a 2.1 second lead, laying down the fastest laps of the last 5 laps. He's been on average 0.2 of a second faster than the entire field per lap. That number 29 machine completely on rails. Jordan Harnish, second fastest car over the last few laps. So good to see that. James Lorello also turning some good lap times. Christopher Bouchard, Mitch Brown, Jason Stewart in the number 1 machine. We just highlighted him down in 13th. But for Lorello, who's in the 7th position, he's got a little bit of ground to make. Oh, the number 9 machine sideways.
Wow.
Racetrack. What a save. And as I say that, Lorello's got a run, and he's going to move up into the top 5, I believe, here with that number 9. And looks like maybe Woody Mahan getting together. We'll see this on the 3-wide TV replay. There they go down the front stretch. Our cameraman focusing on them, and boom, a little bit of a nudge in the rear. And I'm sure the number 9 won't take all too kindly to that. Stokes now down to 8th position after that. Woody Mahan slid back to 6th.
From
Lorello
3rd to
5th.
8th.
And now
Ninth.
Grant Brown up into 4th. And we got a battle, Carlos, for the last podium position here between the 99 and the 52. Both of those drivers currently hanging out in the Dirty Bird Sim Racing channel here in Discord. So we'll have to see how those two teammates, oh man, almost Connor smacking the wall.
But Peter, we have to keep track of the fact that a caution comes out. This race isn't over. If a caution comes out, we do go to Green-white-checkered. We saw last night the fastest vehicle in the Sim Possible Racing League was unable to win the race. Pretty much losing it on a restart wasn't his own fault. And resulting in restarting second, and eventually got caught up in another incident. But Will Warsler, I doubt he may lose that lead on a restart. However, it's possible. Right now, if it goes green, this is his race to win. Their tires don't go flat, or at least they're not going to spontaneously go flat with this new tire model. But if a caution does come out, that introduces that just introduces more risk on restarts.
I mean, Will Warsler, he's turned the fastest lap in this race, started from the pole, has led a good majority of this race. He's been lights out, but we got this battle now for the 3rd position. 99, Clarence Bonner on the high side. 52 of Grant Brown on the inside. 3 laps to go. This is the battle for the last podium position. 3rd spot on the line here between these two. And look at James Lorello in the number 3 machine. Can he get around both of them here with now 2 laps to go?
Ooh, that 99, I think his tires are shot. I think that's going to be it for the 99, as the 52 is going to get that 3rd place spot. But look here, the number 3 of James Lorello getting underneath the 99 of Clarence Bonner and getting that. Oh, no, they're still going side by side here for the corners, but I believe that 99's tires are done. Oh no, he cuts across. Oh, he's wrecking it too. Oh no, caution's out.
Boy.
Oh no. Oh
my, oh, the 51 getting involved there. That was a Dirty Bird Sim Racing trifecta of cars, and what happened was the 3 was trying to use
I don't know about that.
Troy Haight as a pick. I think he was trying to use the 28 as a pick there, Carlos, and the 99 said it wasn't having anything of it and came down the racetrack. Well, unfortunately,
insert Michael Scott a scared face.
Okay, Carlos, but I'll tell you what, white flag wasn't in the air yet. We got a green-white checker coming up here,
That
buddy.
52 had no idea that was going to happen to him. Let's go looking behind the number 52 of Grant Brown. That was just a total surprise. We've seen it in real life where things like that can affect the driver up ahead. Not what he expected, and unfortunately for him, he's got some heavy damage and is more than likely not going to finish in the top 5, and maybe finishing the top 10 is debatable because, oh, was there something else going on up ahead? No, there wasn't.
So that is going to change everything here, Carlos. James Lorello is currently being scored in 5th. Well, we'll have to wait for things to get sorted out. No, Lorello's being scored in 4th currently. Jordan Harnish being scored 2nd. Grant Brown 3rd. Woody Mahan is 5th. I know my numbers aren't making too much sense right now.
And James is being shown 5th.
Well, I think that you need a lot of time in the scoring
that
to
could
update
be
here just a little bit.
that could be because we are past the official we are past the official scheduled laps of 150 and 151. So at this point, ATVL does not update until they cross the start finish line. So I do apologize.
Michael Krobach in the number 72 machine is sitting on pit road here, Carlos. I'm wondering if he might have saved a set of tires. Not looking like it. Looks like he just has a lot of damage and getting some of that damage repaired down in 27th. And, this night was looking pretty good for Michael Krobach a little bit earlier ago, but unfortunately won't be his night. With all that damage on that number 72 machine, he is currently the second to last car on the lead lap. Jordan Berry in the number 31 machine, he wanted to see this caution because he was the lucky dog. Now back on the lead lap, we got 28 vehicles who are on the same lap as your race leader, the number 29, Will Worcester. But all of a sudden, I'm sure Nicky Worcester in the chat's not too excited about that.
But look who's third. Grant Brown. Gonna be holding on to that with a front bumper. Granted, this isn't a mile and a half or higher track where that sort of damage will really hinder you, but you are hitting speeds high enough where it can slow you down a little bit. I think he might lose that top 5, but he might be able to get a top 10 if things go his way.
We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, that number 52 looking like a modified. So 2 laps to go. Pace car lights are off. We'll have our first attempt at a green-white checker. We do have up to 3 here in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series. And this was, Will Worcester, 3-second lead. And all of a sudden, it has completely evaporated here. Will he hold on to this race lead with the closing laps?
It's shocker. Peter, I'll leave this to you.
Pace car lights are off. Number 29 machine of Will Worcester going to lead the field down here. The field will go when Will goes. Will slowing the field down just a little bit. Oh, wow, the 52 machine had wheel spin and we're 4 wide on the front stretch. Cars are everywhere here. It's the restart that number 29 machine wanted. He got out to a huge jump. Jordan Harnish into second. And, James Lorello being pushed up the racetrack. He's going to lose a lot of spots here. Look at Brian Yazik in the 55 now, up inside the top 5. The 9 of Brandon Stokes down below the white line. What was he doing down there? Christopher Bouchard. Cars trying to wreck back there.
They're wrecking back there. Caution is out.
There's the caution. And mile logjam here on the front stretch. There's Giese in the 77 around parking lot towards the back, and we're going to have to line them up one more time. We still got cars stopped here on the front stretch. And this was, Carlos, this was kind of a slow accident to happen.
3 of Lorello.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, what a tough break for Lorello. He got shoved out of the groove in turn number 2. And not quite sure if he got turned around there or if he got tagged someone. Not 100%
he got
sure.
tagged. I think that's the 1. The 8 and the 1 made contact, and that turned the 3. But of course, everybody, there was a lot of things going on there on that final, on turn number 4. It was more than just a driver to making a mistake. We see the 84 making contact with the 3. We saw the 55 getting loose around. And unfortunately, it was contact with the 8 and the 1. From this angle, we can't tell if the 3 went down or the 8 went up, or the 1 went up. But the 1 and the 8 made contact, and the 3 of James Lorello got turned 17.
Carlos.
What's up?
Carlos, we got to go on board with the number 51 of Mitch Brown, because I think it might have actually started with the number 51. You see all that chaos that happened there on the front stretch. So we might have to put this one in slow motion as well with the 51 of Mitch Brown. Here we go. Slow-mo. Well, it's going to take a little bit to get to the corner. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now let's slow-mo.
Oh, yeah.
On the back bumper of the 84. Now watch the 84. He gets loose. He goes up, and he's trying to save that car, but he's beating and banging with the number 3 of Lorello. Lorello checks up because he doesn't want to wreck with Mahan, and when he checks up, the number 1 machine was tucked up right behind him, And so it was kind of a domino effect. Unfortunately for the 3 of Lorello, the 1 machine of Jason Stewart, unfortunately for those cars, they were the ones who got a big piece of the damage. Here's a 99 Clarence Bonner trying to scoot through. Boy, oh boy, that was an absolute huge accident here on the front stretch. Biggest accident we've seen of the night. That man right there, Will Worsler, was glad that he was in front of that melee.
Oh, we have some official word.
Crable,
yep, right there.
Yep. What, Jay Crable was taking it to the garage? Is that the
Yeah.
word?
I was going to say he's on the chat saying that he didn't have enough fuel and accidentally took tires. He said he would have been in the top 15. Unfortunate there, Jay. But make sure you get all these mistakes out very early in the season because we do have playoffs. So if you can make it to those playoffs, all these early mistakes are not going to be counted for you.
Yep, so attempt number 2 at a green-white checker. Christopher Bouchard in the number 50 machine. Remember, he started on the outside front row next to Will Worsler. Can he get back up into the second position? Jordan Harnish has had a strong night in the 32 machine, running in second. Brandon Stokes in the number 9. Remember, he was down below the yellow line going off into turn number 3 that last restart. He's running 4th. Brian Yazik in the 55 now running in 5th. So, boy, oh boy, the number 55 of Brian Yazik, kind of where did he come from? He's, started off all right, 16th position on the grid, kind of worked his way up, then slid back, worked his way up, slid back, and now he's up into the top 5 with just 2 laps to go. This will be our second of 3 attempts at the green-white checker. And Carlos, will we see something similar to what we saw last time?
No. I think these guys have got the crazy out of it, and I think we're going to get the white flag. We may get a wreck on the white flag, but caution will not come out at this point. Pace car is off, and Will Worsler is already back on the gas. No spinning of his tires there. A couple of the number 50 spun his tires, just like the second car on the inside line. Made a mistake once again. And the number 32 of Jordan Harnish clearly into second place. So Brandon Stokes, who I thought was going to roll there, wrecking in the back to number 1.
Yeah, heavy contact. I don't think it was the number 1. Couldn't quite tell who that was, but someone was hard into the outside 2 wall, or turn 2 outside wall, I should say.
Yeah.
But that man right there, Will Worsler, can he get to the white flag? If he can, oh, we're wrecking on the front stretch. No, we're not wrecking on the front stretch. My, oh my, Will Worsler, white flag is out. We had a couple of cars beating and banging off the outside wall down the front stretch pass. The number 6 had a great save.
That's going to be a penalty. Oh no, they're wrecking.
We got a wreck. Will Worsler, green flag is going to stay in the air. Big wreck back here. Will Worsler coming out of turn number 4 will take home the checkered flag here in Phoenix. Kirkwood Transportation 150 goes to the number 29 machine. The flag man is very much unamused as you see the rest of the field go by. In fact, he doesn't look enthusiastic at all. He still thinks that they're racing, not quite sure what is up with him. But cars smoking across the start-finish line. And Carlos, we're going to have to break down that final lap. But that number 52 machine, Grant Brown, definitely not the finish he was hoping for in the number 52 at all. Going to be well down the finishing order. So boy, oh boy, let's see what all went down here. Let's see, this is coming into turn number 1 and 2, the number 99 Clarence Bonner, right behind the 72 of Krobach. Now let's see, oh, the 33 Tony Schoen goes down low, but they were already wrecking in front of them. Is that the 71 of Jersky involved? Yeah, the 52 there, Grant Brown. So let's see what happened. I saw the 71 go sideways. There's the number 6. There's the number, oh, the 50. Looks like he might have gotten tagged there going through the dogleg, Carlos. And might have had to check up. We'll have to see whether or not there was anything else. Look at the 41, Tim not getting a chunk of that at the top of the screen.
Taking a look at it, I may have accidentally double-clicked it, so we're going to be going further back a little bit as a dogleg is when that happened. The number 6.
Let's see if we can go on board with the 52 or the number 6. Let's see. Let's take a look at
this replay first here. We're going to slow it down a little bit. Number 6 made some contact with the 19, went all the way below the yellow flag and actually below the cones as the number 19 made contact with the 50 right there. Now the 52 made contact with the 50, and the 6 was coming back up, merging into the racetrack. Unfortunately, that's something that you can't really plan for. This is something that the officials wanted to avoid with an open dog leg, and I'm sure we probably would have seen something like that in the race if we did. So good call on the officials. Unfortunately, when a car gets sent down there, either on purpose or accidentally, that type of recovery is going to be hard to do, as we saw right there. 6 got involved in an incident, 31, 33, the 1, the 52, the 72, pardon me, the one's already, he already DNF'd. So heavy damage for a bunch of these guys finishing the race. But congratulations to Will Worcester. And Will, I do apologize, I completely forgot about your burnout.
Yeah, well, that Slice Pizza Bar Perky Pints machine, we saw a lot of it here tonight. In fact, we got a couple of those Slice machines on the front stretch right there. But we're going to step away here for just a brief moment here on 3 White TV, line up some interviews that are going to be pretty darn interesting, I'll tell you that much, because this end of the race was some pretty spectacular stuff. We'll see you just in a brief moment.
Every day in business starts with a number. Output, productivity, efficiency, all measured in numbers, because data drives decisions. And if fire or water damage strikes, the numbers for your business can slow or even stop. Unless you know this one. 1-800-SERVPRO, the #1 choice in commercial cleanup and restoration.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Phoenix Raceway. I'll tell you what, some of the drivers leaving this joint will not be all too happy with the way the last 10 laps or so panned out. It was absolutely crazy there at the end. Some drivers were able to gain a few spots, and others unfortunately had their good nights derailed. But we do have 3 interviews lined up for you, and those are your top 3 finishers, starting with the number 9 machine of Brandon Stokes. See if we can bring him up here into the booth. Brandon Stokes, Peter Short, 3YTV, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Well, man, that number 9 machine, you slowly, kind of methodically made your way up towards the front. You had some fortuitous luck there towards the end, a couple cars having wheel spin. There was a time where you were below the apron on the backstretch there with 2 laps to go during the first green-white-checker. It was all crazy behind you, but tell us a little bit about your night from your perspective.
I can probably sum it up in one word in long, but it was a pretty good night overall, man. My FXR Camry was bad fast, man. It was just a tick off on the long run. I think I missed on the ratio setup. Just a little tight off, so I was tight center and loose off, so I was just having to turn the wheel a little bit more on exit than I would like. But you know, that second set of tires there on that second caution I think we had right after, I think right around that 50, really helped me get through the field. And I think I gained, a few spots on pit road. Shout out to the pit crew. They did a hell of a job for me all day. And from then on, man, everything started to look up. And then I think the one incident I was actually part of, or the second incident other than the first caution there with John getting loose on entry. I don't know what happened with the 57 on one, or excuse me, in one on entry. So I just wanted to apologize to him. I felt like he slammed the brakes way early, or way late. I don't know, but yep.
Well, definitely an interesting night, and you were able to get up there into the top 3 at the end. This being the first real short track and the first real flat track that we've gone to this season, are those tracks that you tend to excel at? I know they're driver race tracks for sure. I personally am one of those drivers who really enjoys these flat short tracks, and Phoenix and tracks like Milwaukee. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I like Phoenix a lot. I do really, really well in the trucks. Here, I like the tire fall off on these. It makes you have to actually drive them. There was like I said earlier, I was tight center, loose off, but just from the ratio and having to turn the car so much through the center of trying to get in there and, get on the throttle. But I think Phoenix and New Hampshire are probably my favorite flat tracks. I like, it's more about momentum and rolling the center hard and being able to get good momentum going on exit there.
Absolutely. Well, a third place finish here. Next week we go to Hotlanta for the first of the Surf Pro showdowns. And what are your thoughts about Atlanta?
It's definitely going to be a fun deal. I'm looking to do pretty well there. I mean, it just depends on, how my luck falls that week. It seems like, I haven't had any luck, the first, I don't even know what week we're on, but, here in Michigan, first lap, I didn't have a whole lot of bad luck at Daytona, but Michigan, before we get to turn 1, clobbered up in that deal. But I think I'm going to put on, not me specifically, but we're going to put on a show, and, appreciate everybody watching, and hopefully have a good week next week.
Yeah, came in tonight 32nd in points. I'm sure you'll be moving up the standings quite a bit after tonight's show. But before we let you go, you got any shout-outs?
Yeah, man. Shout out to my fiance, Megan, for letting me do this deal. And you guys up in the booth, man, y'all call an awesome race. It's always fun watching the replay after the race and being in it, and, very detailed, and it's fun to watch. Jim and Sam for putting on this deal. Shout out to all the drivers. We all have our differences here and there, but it's fun racing around these guys. And I want to give a huge shout out to FXR. They came on board this year for ASRS and a couple other things with me, and check out their apparel clothing line, or you can see their promoted drivers in the Supercross series. And also, last but not least, Northland Leisure. Want to give a shout out to him, and that's Jordan's brother, my team owner, and they came on board and helped us out with the team and all that good stuff. So appreciate it.
All right. Well, that is your third place finisher, Brandon Stokes, here tonight. Brandon, best of luck next week when we go to Hotlanta.
Thank you. Hopefully I'll be speaking to you there too.
All right. Well, finishing third here tonight at the Kirkwood Transportation 150. But now we have to go find who finished in the second position, and that would be the number 32 machine of Jordan Harnish. And joining us in the booth here is Jordan. And Jordan, congratulations on a second place run here tonight. You really had a lot of pace around this place. You started, reasonably well, 12th position, but it wasn't all too long before you got into the top 5, and really there you stayed. Are you one of these drivers who really likes these drivers' tracks?
Yeah, definitely like these drivers' tracks, like this new package that they came out with. Way more fun than the other package that we run on the 1.5 mile tracks. Really puts it back in our hands.
We noticed that it looked like it got pretty slippery out there, but a lot of drivers handled it very well. What were your thoughts on the setup tonight?
I honestly thought it was great. It was back what we're used to from a couple years ago when I was actually fast again. Won a couple races here back when it was the old track, and finally found the pace again on the new track.
Yeah, very cool to see this new package lower downforce. Of course, still looks like they have the large splitters, but in reality, iRacing has fiddled around with the downforce numbers to make it more accurate to the current Cup car package on the short tracks. But tell us a little bit about your night, because once you got up there, you kind of stayed ahead of all the mess. You got some good luck on some of the restarts there towards the end, but just didn't quite have enough to power down that number 29 machine.
No, definitely didn't have enough for Will. Only running part-time. It kind of hit or miss whether or not I can find the setup and find the rhythm I need to get going all night long, and hit it early in the qualifying session. And then had a little slip up in the qualifying session on the main server. But once I was able to get my rhythm back down, it was just pick them off one by one, keep the nose clean as much as I could. Apologize to the 71, didn't mean to turn him around midway through the race there. But once we got going, it was perfectly fine, and it was fast like I wanted it.
Oh, you're definitely very fast here tonight. Next week we go to Hotlanta for the first of the Surf Pro Wheelman Showdown races. Will you be able to be racing next week? It should be another fun and exciting race.
I don't think I'm going to be able to make it next week. The job as an ice hockey official is going to get in the way a couple more weeks here. But I should be back in 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Ice hockey is one of the things that one of my other 3-wide TV commentators commentates for, and pretty cool to see a couple of people attached to hockey here with us surrounding 3-wide TV. But Jordan, before we let you go, you got any shout outs for us?
Yeah, I definitely got to thank Todd Kirkwood Transportation, Splash and Go Graphics, Checkered Flag PCs, my friends at Dirty Bird Sim Racing, my team Alpha Tango Racing, Ty Hester, and my girlfriend who lets me do this when I feel like it.
All right. Well, Jordan, until we see you again here on 3-Wide TV, best of luck, and definitely put on a good show for the fans here tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, that was your second place finisher, Jordan Harnish, here tonight's Kirkwood Transportation 150. But now, down to victory lane, the race winner of tonight's 150-mile event, the number 29 of Will Worcester. And Will, I think out of the 150 miles, I think you led almost 150 of them, because that number 29 Slice Perky Pints machine was bad fast.
Yes, sir, it was. We we did plenty of testing. I want to thank my guys on the team, Richard and Tyler and Craig, and Doug just came in, so he didn't get to practice. But it helps me a lot and keeps me on my toes. We all get together and practice once a week, and even I did this same track with the Some Possible guys the week before, AJ and Fernando and some of them. So it all helped and all played a part in me being able to do what I did tonight.
Yeah, you were very, very quick around this joint. Was there anything that you were able to pick up on, either the steering ratio, brake bias, or things like that you're able to kind of translate into tonight's win?
I felt like the brake bias was, I left it at default. I felt like it was right where it's supposed to be. I always change, or I usually change the brake bias to what I want, but I felt like default was pretty good. If it felt like it was getting tighter down the road or even looser, I could adjust it, in race 3 degrees either way. So I just left it right where it was, and I actually never changed it one time. I run 8-to-1 steering ratio everywhere, and so I don't change anything other than the brake bias. That's all I ever mess with. I don't ever touch the offset or anything, but the key to this track, man, is entry into one and finding the happy medium with entry and exit of 3 and 4. So I've kind of found something with that. That's why I feel like I tend to excel here.
Well, you definitely found it out there on the racetrack tonight. Next week we go to Atlanta Motor Speedway, the first of the Surf Pro Wheelman Challenge Showdown races. Of course, that's kind of a championship within a championship. I'm sure you have your eyes set on that, but what are your thoughts about Atlanta?
Kind of discouraged about it right now. I did some testing with some of my Some Possible drivers, and it kind of felt a little unnaturally tight on the exit of 2. So I haven't got enough laps, and it's just something I'm gonna have to figure out. But I should be ready by the time race time rolls around. But it's it's a mile and a half, and it's the Cup package, and it's not going to be anything like this race. It's not anything where I'm going to look down and see 2 or 3 seconds between me and second place or anything. I'll be, with my luck this year and the way the accidents have gone, I'll be doing good. I'll be happy with the top 10. But Put it that way.
Well, before we let you go, the winner of tonight's Kirkwood Transportation 150, you got any shout-outs for us?
Yeah, I want to dedicate this win to my wife. She stays extremely active. She's very, you guys know how into my sim racing she is, and I'm lucky for it. So she's been wanting me to win for a while and telling me to win for a while, and I was finally able to do it. And, I feel bad for Stykes, man. I think he showed everybody how fast he was here tonight, and everybody's, with our limited amount of tires and stuff like that, he was trying to play strategy, and I just happened to guess right, and he didn't guess so right, and it didn't, he got back in the traffic and things happened. So I really hate it. That dude's, as fast as anybody in the league is faster than me. And so it's only a matter of time before he wins. He's just had the worst luck to start. But I need to thank my sponsors, Slice Pizza Bar and Perky Pints and Doug Mullins for the sponsorships. And so all my teammates, obviously, both leagues. These guys are great. They make sim racing a lot of fun. I want to thank the league, Jim and Sam, and obviously 3-Wide. You guys do the best job. Favorite broadcasters.
All right. Well, Will, thank you for that. But we'll be seeing you, I'm sure, here in 1 week's time here on 3-Wide TV once again at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Until then, best of luck.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, Carlos. Well, that was tonight's winner of the Kirkwood Transportation 150, and it was quite a spectacular race here in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series once again. But before we go, we do need to run down tonight's finishing order. All 40 cars that started this 150-mile event, which was extended twice thanks to some green-white-checkers. It was Will Worcester taking the win over Jordan Harnish. Harnish tried to mount a charge there at the end, but couldn't quite do it. Coming home second, Will Worcester leading 142 laps tonight. Brandon Stokes coming home third in that number 9 machine. Brian Yazek, good recovery for him. That number 55 machine finishing in the 4th position. Look at Woody Mahan coming at your screen right now on that number 84 machine. He comes home in 5th, right over Mitch Brown. Also flashing by your screen right there, finishing in that 6th position, just outside the top 5. Tyler Seville in the number 11, also coming at your screen right now. He comes home in 7th. John Jenkins, your winner from Las Vegas, comes home in 8th. Cody Spiker in the number 19 finishes in the 9th position. Good recovery for him. He was involved in a couple of melees. In fact, there he is without a hood on that number 19 snap-on machine. Alan Young in the number 24 coming home inside the top 10 in 10th. Finishing in the 11th position, you have the number 50 of Christopher Bouchard, finishing in 12th. The number 3 of James Lorello, who was beaten up, banged around there in those last few laps. There he is, actually about to beat and bang on the outside wall once again here in slow motion. Boom, there you go.
This was coming
the
to
66 of the 66 of Edward Bray finishing right behind him, right there. Good recovery for Edward Bray. Remember, came into tonight as the points leader, had a very quiet night, but comes home with a top 13 finish. Richard Stallings in the number 17, also beaten and had quite a bit of damage. He finishes 14th. Kelsey Rogers 15th. Good recovery for Kelsey. He was a lap down at one point. Michael Krobot coming home 16th. Clarence Bonner 17th. Jared Hegarty 18th. Jimmy McKee 19th. And Tony Schoen rounding out your top 20. Finishing in the 21st position in a blackjack position, the number 31 of Jordan Berry. Tim Knott in the 41 coming home 22nd. Grant Brown 23rd. Adam Jersky 24th in the last car on the lead lap. Nick Curling coming home in the 25th position. Richard Fletcher 26th. Shane Parrish 27th. Ty Hester 28th. Troy Haight, 29th. Alex Giese rounding out your top 30. Coming in the home in the 31st position, Jason Stewart. And that number 1 machine was making his way through the field where a little bit of contact set him back, unfortunately finishing 4 laps down. Jay Crable finishing 5 laps down in the Glassdoor Brewing number 87. Craig Stykes, another one of the Slice Perky Pints machines, had a great night going, but didn't finish tonight's event, finishing 33rd. Chris Stouffer, 34th. Doug Mullins coming home in 35th. Jake Douglas, 36th. Eric Stanford, 37th. Steve Puhala, Jackson Van Volkenberg, and Todd Kirkwood were 38th through 40th position. I know Todd Kirkwood looking for a little bit better of a night, of course, in the Kirkwood Transportation 150, having a little bit of what appeared to be some hardware issues. Hopefully you can get that resolved for next week's event when we go to Hotlanta, the Atlanta Motor Speedway, for the first of the Surf Pro Wheelman
That's it.
showdowns. And I'll tell you what, it has been a long night here on 3 Wide TV. This race actually quite long, about 2 hours in length, with the post-race interviews and all that. But to tell you what, Carlos, we have to thank our friends over at SimTV for these camera angles and our friend at OCR for the graphics package. We're going to have some great things in store with that graphics package coming for you here fairly soon, in development as of right now. It's going to be very, very cool. But from myself, Peter Short, and also the man sitting beside me, Mr. Carlos Acosta, all the way down in Miami Beach, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in here tonight. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want to see videos similar to this one. But until we meet again next week, we'll see ya. See ya!